Hello, everyone. Welcome on in. Thanks for being with us today. We're right on 11, but we'll get started with a few housekeeping notes. Today's webinar is sponsored by Fortis BC. We thank them for their contributions and being making this possible to host webinars such as this and information sessions throughout the year. They are a valued premier partner of us. And yeah, thanks again to Vlad and the team at Fortis BC. Today's webinar will be recorded. So we will record this webinar and then we will send out any additional resources that we talk about today via email following the end of the webinar. Today we've got Paul Hawes, our president and CEO, giving us a little bit of an industry update. And then we will have Reid from GreenStep come in and talk a little bit about some case studies, some recent trends, and I look forward to 2026 from the sustainability side of things. So with that, I will hand things over to Paul, who will get started.
Great. Thanks, Gareth. A beautiful good morning from sunny Victoria. And before we start, in the spirit of truth and reconciliation, I'd like to acknowledge that we are on the traditional, ancestral, and unceded territories of the Lekwungen-speaking people here in Victoria. As I say, it's a beautiful morning on this place that I get to call home and get to work, live, and play here on the island paradise of Vancouver Island. And so as we move into the presentation, we've done a lot of work this year at the BC Hotel Association to really hone our work and focus on three key pillars. We advocate, educate, and elevate the industry. And so we've done a lot of great work this year that I will share some of our advocacy work, but bringing on a dedicated government relations firm. And we are the voice of everything about the hotel sector across BC, and then also at the national level as well. Our education programs, we educate the industry to build stronger teams and elevate the work that they do. But we know that education is such an important piece of the industry and making sure that our teams are well prepared for all situations. And those programs through our fast track initiatives, everything from leadership training to food and beverage to marketing and communications. And they're a huge success that we sell not just across BC, but into Alberta and across Canada as well. And those fast track programs are still in operation, and the new series or the start of the year will see those beginning again. And then a small shift to the work that we do, but elevating the sector. We elevate the sector in a number of different ways. That can be done through the BCHA Awards of Excellence, but that's also programs like the Canadian Hospitality Health Plan that I'll get into a little bit more, and soon to be launched pension plan as well, that is a dedicated hospitality pension plan. I want to talk a little bit about how BC Hotel Association works with other industries and the overall ecosystem of the tourism network. And then some of those other partners that we work with on a regular basis that we have to connect with, work collaboratively with, as well. We have joint advocacy files. So we work very closely and co-locate with the Tourism Industry Association of BC. We also co-locate with ABLE. But then on top of that, we work extremely closely with Tourism HR Canada, Hospitality Industrial Relations, HIR, and then, of course, the DMO network through the DMOA, which is a really important connectivity piece between the hotels and the DMOs across the province. We work extremely closely with Destination BC, Indigenous Tourism BC. I get the privilege to sit on the board of the Hotel Association of Canada, where we can bring these provincial advocacy pieces to the national level. Of course, Restaurants Canada, and then as I mentioned, Able a little bit beforehand. So before we get into our advocacy work, Gareth is going to launch a poll. So please answer this. What are the pieces that are really impacting your operations, and what do you see going to be the challenge for 2026? Give you a few minutes to, or a few seconds to finish that. Gareth, are we seeing some of those results come in?
Yeah, we're seeing an interesting mix, actually. I'll end the poll in the next couple seconds here, and we'll put it up on the screen so everyone can see.
Great, thank you.
Looks like rising operational costs is is the top.
Yep. Workforce shortages, of course. And these are certainly not new, but the cost of operation, and you'll hear more. It's something that I speak a lot about. It's been a surprise, but just increasing costs between property taxes, insurance, labor, of course, is a big piece of that. And those are some of the key pieces that we are tackling at the provincial level. So thank you. Um, From a federal outlook, as I said, I get to sit on the Hotel Association of Canada board, which is an incredible group of people representing the industry from coast to coast to coast. At the same time, headquartered in Ottawa, and so have that direct line to Ottawa. The With the federal budget just a few weeks ago, there were some wins in there at the same time, some perhaps missed opportunities. The International Convention Attraction Fund, for those of you that are not aware of ICAF, this is a fund that came through the federal government during the pandemic, and it was to support international business events, international conventions that are aligned with the sectors of the federal government to attract those business events to Canada. It was a $50 million fund over a period of 3 to 4 years. And that program has been coming to an end. We're working very hard and advocating that the federal government continue this program with $10 million per year for another 4 years. We're seeing an ROI of 19 to 1 on this investment, and it really is aligned with the federal government sectors of AI and the major sectors to attract business events into Canada. And it's really helping destinations, small and large, attract some of these major pieces of business. There was concern that Destination Canada could have seen up to a 15% reduction in their operating budget. They did get hit with a small reduction of 5%, but in the scheme of other government entities, this was a good result. And again, coming from our advocacy at the national level to support that tourism marketing and ensure that we remain top of mind for those international visitors in the markets that are important to us in those core international markets. There was no hotel or tourism infrastructure in the tax reforms, and so this is something that at the national level we'll continue to work on. New opportunities. So we know that the visa allocations and temporary foreign workers, there's some work that's being done there to reduce the number of temporary foreign workers. We're seeing a reduction in students coming into the country as well. We are now seeing though some flexibility for TFWs, for rural and remote communities. There is the investment into tourism infrastructure. This is everything from ports to airports, which will certainly help us in BC. It was 21 million for arts and heritage to strengthen cultural tourism. So again, another good win there. And the reopening, as I like to call it, is the back to the future of China group travel, like we were a decade or so ago, with China now being able to travel back to Canada. We're not going to see the huge swing that we saw a few years ago. It's going to take time, but the fact that we're now back into the Chinese market, we're hearing good signs that Air Canada is increasing its capacity into BC from China, and seeing also other international airlines looking at that route. So it'll be a slower return, but a really good indicator that it will come back. And then again, one of the pieces that we will dig into is the federal government's investment into short-term rental enforcement. These funds have been dispersed across the country, and we'll be following up with local municipalities to ensure that those funds are being spent and have been spent accordingly. I've had the opportunity to now meet in person twice in the last month with Minister Kang, our new tourism minister. We really focused on the core issues that we just saw from you there, but workforce stability and that long-term staffing solutions, encouraging hotel investment and growth, but then also addressing the rising cost of operations, as we just heard. These last two pieces, the hotel development as well as the rising cost of operation, the minister was very keen to learn more about. And so I have had some follow-ups already and intend to meet with the minister at the beginning of the year to talk about some of these issues in further detail. And then ensuring that there is consistent short-term rental rules and enforcement, because we are seeing the likes of Airbnb doing some incredible campaigning and investing a lot of money into marketing and campaigning. And we have to ensure that we are steadfast here and consistent with those regulations as we go into 2026 with events such as FIFA that will be upcoming. Our key advocacy files, and so we reorder these in terms of how we prioritize our key advocacy files. Workforce and immigration is number one. Coming off of the summer, seeing the strong demand and the success of summer, we know that visas are starting to expire the tail end of this year, but come spring and into summer next year, there will be a significant pressure from the not having the same number of temporary foreign workers, folks on those medium-term visas as well. We are continuing to advocate for tourism and hospitality as a path to permanent residency, and that is something that we work at the provincial level, but of course, immigration is a national file. The cost of doing business and operations, I mentioned this, but hotel profitability is really being squeezed more and more and more. And we are doing everything we can to demonstrate to all levels of government, whether that's at the municipal level, the provincial level, and the federal level, that the profitability and the viability of the sector is really being squeezed. And demonstrating all of the costs and demonstrating also the increasing costs in some of those key pieces. As I mentioned, the labor as well as insurance, but that's also utilities and other expenses, the demand or the supply chain demands as well, and of course property taxes that continue to escalate. The third major file, and this was a huge challenge this summer, the provincial government got off quite lightly with the emergency management of this summer. The weather definitely helped with some rain throughout the summer, and certainly helped with some of the situations that we saw up towards Whistler, as well as here on the island. But the BC Hotel Association pushes hard on ensuring that the provincial government is doing everything they possibly can. We do have the emergency booking platform that funding was pulled from that from by the provincial government in April, and we've been fighting to re-engage and bring that booking platform back and take it across the province. And so as we go into the beginning of 2026, that'll be something that is absolutely on our radar. Hotel development. So, as many of you know, we launched the Hotel Community Impact Assessment Study that was done in partnership with Destination Vancouver. We launched that at our Summit 2025. And that was with the intent for the City of Vancouver and the regions to take that impact assessment country. And so we're seeing some really incredible growth. And the City of Vancouver's team has been fantastic to work with, and also to ensure that hotel development is being kept top of mind. We are now part of a task force both in Vancouver and now in Victoria that are looking at these pieces for hotel development over the next 5 to 10 years. And so, if people are looking at the if people are looking for insights on hotel development, please reach out. Be happy to share more of this report and what the folks in Vancouver and Victoria are doing. Our additional advocacy files. So I mentioned ICAF, the Conference Attraction Fund. Downtown safety is a key file that we continue to work on. Accessibility, we will be launching an accessibility playbook in the next few weeks that has been created with an accessibility group here in Vancouver, and then that will be launched in just a few weeks. MRDT and DMF are important files that we continue to ensure that we have our eyes on, and ensuring that MRDT is a world-class collector of funds that go directly into tourism marketing and promotions for the destination. Short-term rentals is, of course, always top of mind. And then human trafficking awareness. We will be relaunching our human trafficking programs. It is on our website. We have a dedicated landing page for human trafficking, and working with the Hotel Association of Canada and the Canadian Hotel Lodging Association, will be putting out more information in the new year. So, member benefits. Remember that you do have additional benefits as part of the work and the funding that goes towards all of our program. But we have over 150 allied members with discounts that are available to you. So that's on products and services that support the hospitality sector. And then we also have 8 exclusive premier partners. And then, of course, I mentioned our fast track. This is an incredible program that we offer. It's an in-house virtual training program. The schedule can be found on our list, on our website. But definitely a great opportunity, very affordable for you to be able to train your staff in all different areas. As I said, financial leadership, housekeeping, human resources, food and beverage. All of these are available to you at a very low cost, and we sell these programs not just in BC, but across the country. To help with some of the challenges with attracting international visitors, international workers, the BC Hotel Association for the last couple of years has been attending the Destination Canada Mobility Forum, where we match job orders from hotels, and we attract those staff coming into Canada from French-speaking countries into BC. We will be participating in February in both Tunisia and in Paris, where we'll be hosting one-on-one interviews with those workers and then matching those job orders, giving those job orders to the hotels that have signed up to the program. We were just a few weeks ago in Morocco and Belgium and had an incredible showing of representatives from ourselves here. So Carissa was on that one, but at the same time, we were able to meet with over 100 individuals and then bring back many more job orders and resumes to attract those international foreign workers. The Canadian Hospitality Health Plan, many of you do know about this program, but this is an owned business that the BC Hotel Association and Alberta Hotel and Lodging Association built. We've been selling that now. It's our second birthday of the CHHP. But this is a pooled benefits program. It reduces premiums. The team that manage this program see savings of 5 to 10% on existing plans. It's administered by Advance Insurance, but these are our own team members that are selling this program across the country. I'm very excited that we have now exceeded the AHLA's allocation into the plan, and so it's a friendly competition, but we have just over 500 employees that are on this plan in BC, and that is growing month by month. And so if you are looking for a new hospitality health plan, this is dedicated for you, and we'd love to help sign you up into this program. And then we are just about to launch in January, and you would have seen possibly in the communications that came out in the last week, we're just about to launch the Canadian Hospitality Pension Plan. So this is structured after one of Canada's leading pension plans. It's governed by the consultant, a consultant company, and actively managed. But this is another game changer where we can demonstrate elevating the industry, giving back to the industry, particularly in some of those smaller properties or the unbranded properties that you may not be able to be into a bigger plan. But the CHHP and the pension program will be available for teams of one or more. And so for small businesses up to our large major brands that are across the province. And finally, a shameless plug, as we always like to do. If you haven't signed up, registration is open for Summit 2025. It'll be here on Vancouver Island in Nanaimo, April 14th and 15th. We are going to be launching the speaker lineup and our keynotes at the beginning of the new year. We're really excited to have the summit on the island, but also we're about 80% of the schedule is now in place. And so, as I say, once we get to the new year, we'll be launching that. But register now because you will be able to save on that. And I'm going to now hand over to Joe from GreenStep, who's going to give an update. And then at the end, there'll be an opportunity for some Q&A.
Great, thanks, Paul. Just want to make sure hear and see the slides, okay?
can just see you right now.
Just see me. Give me 2 seconds. Should be coming now.
Yeah, you're good now.
There we go.
Perfect. All right. Thanks again, Paul. And thanks everyone for joining the call today. As Paul said, I'm Joe from GreenStep, and we're proud to work closely with the BCHA as their sustainability partner, supporting hotels across the province on their sustainability journey. Today, I'm going to walk through some of the key things we're seeing in the market specifically around sustainability, a little bit like Paul did, but with that sustainability lens. And this has really meant for hotels in 2025 and perhaps may signal for you coming into the next year. Alongside that, I'll share some of the great impacts that BC hotels have made through the year through the GoGreen programs. It's been a really encouraging year, and I'm excited to highlight some of the momentum that has been made. As we go, Gareth will ask a few polls along the way to get your feedback, input, so be ready to hit the trigger on those. Before we dive in, a quick introduction for anyone I haven't met and maybe unfamiliar with GreenStep. We are a team of sustainability experts that has supported really thousands of businesses across BC and Canada, helping to measure sustainability performance, plan and implement improvement projects, and really showcase the success of that. As mentioned, we are proud to serve as the sustainability partner of the BCHA, working with hotels across the province on everything from energy efficiency, decarbonization planning, credible reporting, certifications, and so on. This includes through the EcoFund program, which I will have the pleasure of highlighting a little bit later in the slide deck here. So let's take a step back and look at the 2025 trends around sustainability. What has it looked like, particularly from a demand point of view? And what does that mean as we head into 2026 and beyond? I'll give you a little spoiler alert here. Expectations around sustainability are continuing to rise, which may not be a surprise for many of you. In 2025, we have been seeing about really 4 key themes in sustainability present themselves across the BC hotel sector. And honestly, these are really continued trends. We've been seeing them for several years now. And the 4 main forces shaping the sustainability demand in the landscape have been regulatory requirements. We'll dive into that a little bit more. They continue to evolve, making credible sustainability more important than ever. Operating costs, Paul highlighted that as well. That connects to sustainability. Costs are climbing across energy, water, waste collection. It's putting pressure on margins, and it's really leading to a demand for conservation. Employee expectations are rising. Struggling to perhaps attract employees, we're seeing that more and more people are wanting to work for organizations that reflect their values and are making active decisions around that now. And guest demand is continuing to increase. More and more travelers are actively seeking sustainability choices or sustainable choices than ever before. Each of these forces are sort of working together to perhaps influence how you might want to think about 2026. So start with a poll now. I'll get Gareth to load that up to just take a quick pulse. How has your property made specific plans, or has your property made specific plans around sustainability for 2026? Within your budget, informally, is it things you're looking at? We'll let everyone make an answer there. Will I be able to see those, Gareth?
Yeah, I just see a little bit of movement still. People are still giving this some thought. I'll end the poll in a couple moments here, get a last little responses in, and then we'll share it.
Great.
Looks like we've got
Very
some
nice.
planners on the call.
All right, excellent, excellent. Well, good to hear. And we're going to dive in a bit deeper. Oh, there we go. Now I can see them. Great, fantastic. Which we would expect. BC typically has been very well engaged in sustainability in comparison to hotels and associations we work with across the country. So great. Looks like there's maybe a few that could lean into that a little bit. So let's dive a bit deeper into those different sort of areas that I talked about. First off, regulatory expectations continue to evolve. And 2025 has really been fair turning point, to be honest. The biggest change is in the city of Vancouver. Mandatory energy and emissions reporting did become effective from January 1st of this year. So all hotels included in that, over 100,000 square feet, now must report annually. That threshold is going to change to 50,000 square feet next year. So capturing obviously more properties. At the same time, voluntary benchmarks are growing across Metro Vancouver, so the broader area, Capital Regional District, Victoria Saanich, even in the interior, Kamloops area and others. It's really laying clear groundwork for broader requirements. And it isn't just government mandates or municipal mandates. We're seeing more and more corporate group RFPs asking for sustainability data, and now taking the step of setting minimum thresholds in their evaluation. If you can't provide the data, you may not make the shortlist in those RFPs. So while reporting may not be mandatory everywhere just yet, other than Vancouver, the direction is starting to become more clear. That's the trend we're seeing through 25. And hotels that are beginning to track now may be better positioned into the future. Also in 2025, Bill C-59 came into force, federal legislation that tightened the rules around environmental marketing. Any claims that are being made, we're eco-friendly, we're carbon neutral, plastic-free, and so on, now must be verifiable and backed by evidence. The bill initially took a very strong stance. There's been some ebb and flow. With the new budget that's come out, it's been watered down a little bit. However, the core rule still remains. If you're doing great things, you can celebrate it. That's awesome. You just need to make sure that the claims are accurate and supported by real data. I'll make a quick little side note. It's not really sustainability connected at this stage, but within C-59 as well, they're also addressing a drip pricing, which basically is indicating that any mandatory fees, resort fees, service fees, DMFs, etc., must be shown up front in the buyer journey and the consumer booking process. BCHA has circulated some guidance, notes around that, and I'd really encourage you to take a look into that if you've not done so already. On to operating costs. Let's start with one big notable change in 2025 that actually reduced the costs. In April, carbon tax on fuels was removed by both the federal government and the BC governments. Though a little bit of a letdown for some of us greens on the decarbonization pressure, it does offer some welcome financial relief. Obviously, that was the aim for the government to help spur the economy, which is great. However, core operating costs that really matter, energy, water, waste delivery, continue to rise. BC Hydro is increasing rates at about 3.75% per year. Fortis increased theirs by about 5.7% at the start of the year. We're going to see it go up again. Gas delivery charges are increasing. It's not because they're trying to make a whole bunch of money. They're also managing inflation, investing in aging infrastructure, supporting increased demand. Properties with inefficient systems are going to feel this hurt the most, but could potentially cushion that with investment in more efficient systems, mechanicals. We're also seeing some rising costs in products and waste collection, the landfill tipping fees. Hotels focused on reducing that waste can also be less impacted. So although the carbon tax was removed, which is great help, the real cost pressures are still rising, making efficiency increasingly important. When we look at sustainability from the guest perspective, the trend is really clear. It's unmistakable. Demand continues to rise year over year. Beyond what we hear directly from y'all on the call, a great benchmark we lean on within our industry is Booking.com's Sustainable Travel Report. In 2025, they polled 32,000 travelers across 34 countries. So really a comprehensive measurement of traveler sustainability around the world. In 2025, they found that 93% of travelers surveyed said that they want to make more sustainable travel choices and to some extent have already done so, meaning they don't want to just do it, they're taking action now. What's also striking in how quickly this has grown is how quickly this has grown. In 2016, That 93% number was only 42%. So in less than a decade, it has doubled. And by the way, there are numbers specific to Canada alone. They did a subset of 1,000 Canadian travelers that actually found the number at 94% want to travel more sustainably. I'll bring this a little closer to home for hoteliers specifically. In a separate study by UN Tourism, they found that 73% of tourists prefer to stay at hotels that apply sustainable practices. So just trying to set a little bit of tone on the trends. Guests are comparing options. They're looking at sustainability credentials, and perhaps that is tipping the decision in the bookings. Lastly, it's not just guests that care about sustainability. Employees do too, as I mentioned, and the data in that is also becoming very clear. Deloitte, I think we all know Deloitte, did a very big study in 2025 around global sustainable behaviors. They found about a quarter of employed people globally have considered switching jobs to work for a more sustainable company. I'm one of those. I did that a couple of years ago. It's further supported by a PricewaterhouseCoopers study that found that 70% of employees say that their employers' environmental policies and practices are important in choosing where to work. So what we're learning really is this, right? Credible sustainability isn't just about guests and regulations and cost savings. It's also directly affecting the ability to attract and retain staff. So those are some of the trends we've seen across 2025 and heading into 2026: employee expectations, guest demand, operating costs, regulations. But really the next question is, what can hotels do about it, right? Or maybe, better yet, what support already exists to make things easier? And have we made any progress on it? So I'll be happy to share on that. I do want to start off with a quick shout out to the BCHA. They're doing a great job. Among associations across Canada, and I work with a lot of them, GreenStep does, BCHA has really stepped up and is a real leader in providing practical sustainability support for hotels. Through the GoGreen program, BCHA has curated a broad set of tools and resources designed to make sustainability really simple, accessible, achievable, really no matter where your property is at. So some of these include the Sustainability Playbook, gives a clear hotel sector, BC area focused guidance on reducing energy, water, waste, and costs related to those. It's available for free when you go on the member portal. Members have access to a free energy advisor. I'm going to talk about that on the next slide, sponsored by great partners at Fortis, Vlad and the crew, which is super helpful to get you started. Of course, the EcoFund program delivered by GreenStep. I'll touch on that on the next slide, some of the impacts around that. And a broad range of trusted sustainability partners: Better Table, Foxfold, Veritree, Green Heat, just to name a few. There's a bunch out there that can help get you on your way. Quick poll question. Get Garrett, load that up again. Just curious, on the call, have you accessed any of the BCHA sustainability resources in 2025?
Good question, Joe.
Yeah, they're there. They're available. It's free. You can get a lot out of it. I'm going to keep moving ahead while we let you respond to that one. So across the hotels that have engaged with the BCHA's GoGreen resources this year, hopefully a few of you on this call, really the results have been amazing. We've seen some real savings, some real emission reductions, some real momentum building across the province. So let's take a look at a few of those to see what it actually looks like in practice, right? What does this even mean, the sustainability stuff? I'm going to start with one of the easiest ways for BCHA members to get started on sustainability, and that's through the complimentary GoGreen energy assessments. It's really simple. It's relatively low effort from your perspective, and it helps support properties in identifying savings and navigating available rebates. If you haven't engaged in it, you really should. There's nothing to lose, and I got Ali's photo on here. Ali's the fellow that leads it from BCHA side. definitely reach out and connect with him. So just looking at some of the projects that's been done through that, some examples of hoteliers taking advantage of it, Prestige recently, Accent Inns, many others, but just to highlight a couple. What's been realized, right? About $270,000 in rebates are expected to be realized by the participating properties in 2025. That's free money, so to speak, right? Those projects represent roughly 2,800 gigajoules of energy. You know, what's that mean, right? Or 140 tons of CO2 avoided each year. Just to give a little equivalent, that's about the same as powering 18 homes for a year or taking 32 cars off the road, which is awesome progress. I'd say even more importantly, when you look at that financially, that's saving those that took advantage of this free money and implemented projects, saving $25,000 to $30,000 in annual energy costs each year. Again, I would strongly encourage reaching out and engaging on that program. Next, I'll talk about EcoFund. For those that may not be familiar, really high level, quick, EcoFund is part of the BCHA's GoGreen support system. It helps hotels move from aspirations, good intentions to real measurable impacts. A common challenge that we had seen is that even with motivation or wanting to do it, hotels are often facing challenges with time, resources, technical expertise. And it can be difficult to identify the right projects and get started and move them through. EcoFund is meant to address that. It provides expert support and structure to help identify, assess, and guide the process towards those emission reducing projects and ultimately cost-saving projects. But it also helps overcome the funding barrier. So projects maybe don't sit on hold waiting for future budgets that you may or may not have. Quick spotlight just to show what it kind of looks like in practice of a specific single example. So Sandman Hotels and Suites in Squamish completed a major HVAC upgrade in 2025, replacing an older rooftop unit, RTU, with a high efficiency dual fuel system that automatically switches between heat pump and gas modes to conserve energy ultimately. The project was supported through Sandman's EcoFund there on the program, which covered about 70% of the costs. But then was further supported through the FortisBC rebates I had mentioned, which covered the other 30% of the costs. So really reducing that capital barrier altogether and enabling that higher efficiency upgrade. The new system is expected to reduce emissions by about 22 tons of CO2 annually, which is quite amazing, while also improving reliability, improving guest comfort, and lowering the utility consumption due to the lower gas bills and electricity bill. So, as a consolidated view this year, together with the BCHA, EcoFund has supported about 33 projects for BCHA members across the province. Everything from lighting retrofits to the HVAC I showed just a minute ago, to water conservation measures, waste infrastructure, you name it. Nearly $1 million in funding was distributed through the EcoFund to help make these projects a reality. And they are anticipated to reduce about 210 tons of CO2 every year, which is the same impact of about 28 homes annually in terms of energy consumption. As an aggregate, that's looking at conserving about 1.54 million kilowatt hours of electricity each year, which is the equivalent of about 150 houses, to put that in context. So it's not just helping hotels, it also helps ease demand on the utility infrastructure, which ultimately supports the system stability and the long-term cost controls that could affect the broader province as well. Again, the important aspect perhaps for most on here is the real financial value, right? These projects are generating an estimated $118,000 in annual utility savings. Go straight to the bottom line. Really, when I look at it and I think about it, it's not bad considering in most cases, the projects were implemented at no cost to the property as well, through the Fortis funding, through the EcoFund funding, and so on. And you get savings on the back end of it. So these numbers reflect a great progress in 2025, and we're excited about the collective impact and savings as more properties come on board and take advantage moving forward into 2026. Before I wrap up, I do want to give a quick highlight to some of the other BC-based, local BC-based partners in the programs, GoGreen programs, who are doing incredible work supporting hotels in really practical, sustainable, cost-saving ways. First off, Foxfold, perhaps many of you heard of them, brand new on the scene this year. Ludo and his team are the most energetic toilet paper salespeople I've ever met. Maybe the only toilet paper salespeople I've ever met. But what they're doing is really, it's brilliant. Refillable dispensers where no tissue is wasted. If you think about it, I mean, when I think about it, the supply chain of it, every time a half-used toilet paper roll is going in the bin, that's cash. That is dollars going in the bin. So Ludo and the team at Foxfold are helping support removal of that. And with over 50 hotels on board already this year, they're set up to prevent hundreds of thousands of partially used rolls from ending up in the landfill each year. Great sustainability initiative. Second, Veritree gives hotels a way to engage guests, reducing demand on housekeeping through opt-outs that help support your labor challenges, perhaps, but also conserve water, reduce energy use, and contribute to verified regeneration projects. Tree planting is an example. There's been some amazing adoption in BC. Veritree provides a super slick portal to track progress. And I just had a quick look yesterday, picked out a couple member hotels. Northland, Salmon Sutton shows they have contributed to planting over 700,000 trees in BC and around the globe. And Oak Bay Beach Hotel has supported the planting of over 32,000 kelp locally in the Sunshine Coast. Pretty amazing. And a final one, Better Table. They focus on food waste, which is one of the biggest operational and environmental opportunities in hotels with F&B, of course. Its standout example, just to call out some numbers, is with Pendray Inn and Tea House in Victoria at the Huntington Manor, who've cut their food waste by more than 50%, translating to obviously a major cost savings and a big reduction in emissions. And really, this can be more timely, this sort of focus, as I talked about the regulatory environment. Metro Vancouver, as an example, is working on updating their waste management strategies now, and food waste reduction is going to become a major policy. So the ways to support that are fantastic. Ben and the Better Table team are making sure you're ahead of it. And they have a new Better Table app coming out. That's the image on the screen, launching soon. It's going to be included in the next update of the sustainability playbook that the BCHA shares with you. But of course, reach out to Ben for more information. So these are just some great examples of the innovation happening here in BC, helping hotels to save money, engage guests, reduce emissions, and really make sustainability easy. So as we look to 2026, picture's consistent. Operational costs are rising, regulatory expectations are evolving, guests and employees are placing greater importance on sustainability. But 2025 has been really encouraging. BC hotels are stepping up. Strong engagement, real savings, meaningful emissions reductions across dozens of projects, as I've mentioned. So with that momentum and the support the BCHA has in place, we really do look forward to additional member impact in 2026, helping BC to lead the country in credible, practical sustainability within the hotel sector. So with that, I will say thanks for your time today and the great work that many of you are doing across the province. And glad I was able to share a quick snapshot into what sustainability looks like with the BCHA and its members this year. So I'll hand things back over to you, Paul.
Great. Thanks, Joe.
We'll take some questions.
I would agree. I've never seen a team so excited to sell toilet paper as our friends at Foxfold. But
Indeed.
They're doing an incredible job. And hotels that I was recently at in Ottawa, they're all across the country. And I know they're doing a lot of work in the States as well. So great to see that. Joe, I think one of the things that you touched on it, I was at a Hotel Association of Greater Victoria meeting last week, and we were talking about the greenwashing piece. Can you Can you give some examples of how hotels can avoid that? Like just a simple statement about it tying things to numbers or key examples that would be helpful.
Yeah, indeed. What we always recommend first off is just take stock of what you're saying. So that really is a first step. Many teams have put stuff up on websites and so on with the right intentions, which are great. But things have evolved, perhaps in what the business actually does, but also in terms of the regulations. So that really is a recommendation on first step. Let's have a look, walk through your website, see what you're actually messaging. Where you find messaging that alludes to sustainable behaviors, you simply just need to be able to make sure you can back that up. So if you're saying we are a green hotel as a general statement, what makes you green? You just need to be able to list out A, B, C, D. We have this in place and this in place and this in place. Of course, there's teams, people like GreenStep to help support that if you're really not sure, but it's really not that complicated. We have some free resources available as well through blogs and so on that can be checked out to help provide some guidance on that.
And then, of course, you mentioned Ali. Ali is our team member at the BCHA, and it's a joint resource. But Ali is in our offices and available. So, for any questions about our Go Green programs and the work that we do there, if any of this has sparked an interest, then Ali is your person. I'm aware that we are 9 minutes before the end here, and we've happy to open up to some questions. Nadia, I see that you had a question in there with regards to the Northern Community Pilot. So this is an immigration piece. I recently wrote a letter to MLA in Prince George on behalf of Prestige Hotels that are going through some challenges in Prince George. The north is definitely being affected. I would encourage any of you, all of you that are seeing challenges with temporary foreign workers or access to international workers to engage with your local elected officials and MLAs. And if you need further support with letters from BC Hotel Association, we're more than happy to provide those. But as you do that, tell the story of the folks that are being impacted because it really is um, heart-wrenching at times that we're losing folks that have been in Canada for a couple of years and are having to go home. They've been part of a community, they've got friends, and they've contributed to communities. And so tell those stories when you're speaking to your elected officials as well, because it will pull on the heartstrings.
We do have two questions from attendees. If we want to jump into those, one for you here, Joe. Can you tell us some examples of the projects the EcoFund has covered for properties? Can they be outside of just energy upgrades?
Yeah, absolutely. They can be. On the EcoFund program, the real sort of underlying requirement is that the projects must demonstrate a reduction in carbon emissions. But to put that simply, that can come from a lot of different areas. Energy is a clear connection. You burn less gas, you have less emissions, yes. But it can also be things like reduction in items to waste. So moving to, say, bulk amenities, for example, less plastic generated, less, waste collection and so on. So example projects, yep, could be energy, mechanicals, and so on, but it could be things like building envelope to help conserve energy or heat within the building, triple pane windows, that sort of stuff. It could be, like I said, water conservation projects, speed, low flow, and so on to reduce demand on that. Could be waste infrastructure, things like, getting your system set up to improve diversion, recycling, and so on. So all sorts of different things are potentially admissible within the EcoFund program.
Great, thanks, Joe. Then one more has come through here. Paul, when will the summit program be announced? And can you give us a little bit of a preview of what to expect if we attend?
You're asking too many questions on that one. We are signing contracts this week for a number of our keynotes, and so we won't launch officially those until January. But I can tell you we've got some incredible influencers and folks across the industry and outside of the industry. There may be a closing keynote that is connected to the world of soccer, sports, coaching, and so that will be our closing keynote. I have actually signed a contract this week with a human trafficking survivor that will be speaking at the conference as well. So it's some incredible stories there. We also have a great lineup of industry, specifically hotel industry speakers. We're in negotiation with somebody coming out of Europe as well that is able to speak. So we will start to update our website with those keynotes and push more in the beginning of the new year. But Gareth, I don't know if you want to add anything specifically on topics that we're covering, but very much in alignment with some of the pieces that we talked today about immigration, hotel development, and we do also have a sustainability session, and we will again have some form of a downtown safety vibrancy session as well that we're looking to build on. But Gareth, can you think of anything else?
I think
Without
you pretty much covered it
getting-
there, Paul. There'll be
Yeah,
we have to keep a few surprises, right?
yeah, no cat out of the bag yet.
Okay, I don't see any other questions coming through here. So I think we're ready to wrap up. We've got our team up on the screen at the moment here. So this is the BCHA. Please do reach out to us if you have any sort of questions around the programs or resources that we discussed today. And yeah, we're here for you, and we're looking forward to a great 2026.
Wishing everybody all the best for the holiday season, and yeah, we hope hope to see many of you over the next little bit. But we'll look to see as many as we possibly can at Summit in the spring.